All right, guys, so let's continue on with our translations from stage 30 of Cambridge Latin, and we're on to Polyspaston 2, so the crane 2, and congratulations to myself, the English side is fully marked up with color coding. You'll have to transfer that over onto the Latin, but you should be able to do that anyway. We're slowly trying to move you away from having that color coding, because when you're going to be reading stuff in either university or VC exams, whatever, you won't have color coding. So let's jump into this. So we know that at the end of Polyspaston 1, Salvius and Haterius had just gotten hoisted up on the top of the crane, and they're about to look over the city. Okay, so Salvius, spectaculo autonitus. So this is, by the way, this is all told in the form of a dialogue. This is something that this format you should get used to when reading plays, specifically Roman plays like those of Terence and Plautus. So here we go. So this is an aside right here. So spectaculo autonitus. It is a participial phrase that is, in a sense, modifying the speaker of this direct statement. It is astonished, spectaculo, ablative by the view, by the image of what he's seeing at the top of his crane. So first things first, notice that even though this is a perfect passive participle, I'm just translating this as astonished. The further into Latin that you get, the more that you can kind of change the way that you choose to translate it. So just astonished by the view is probably the best way to translate it. Not having been astonished by the view. Okay, de immortales. So that is a vocative phrase right there. So God's immortal. So by the gods, totam urbem videre possum. So I am able, main verb, present tense, videre, prolative infinitive, to see, totam urbem, accusative direct object with its adjective, the whole city. I'm able to see the whole city. Ecce templum Iovis. So ecce, it sort of means behold or look. Behold's a bit of an old way to translate it. It's an interjection. I can tell by the way it's marked up over here. Templum and Iovis. So templum is a nominative. It's a neuter noun. Usually there would be ecce, an est that drops out. Look, there is the temple of Jupiter. So this is a genitive right here. So ecce templum Iovis is look. Hey, it's the temple of Jove. Ecce flumen, look, the river. Another nominative right there. Ecce amphitheatrum flavium et arcus novus. So look, behold, hey, look out. There is the Flavian amphitheater and the new arch. Right. So quam in sole fulgit. So quam right there is it's introducing sort of a little adverbial clause of comparison that's been truncated to just an adverb. It's an adverb modifying fulgit. So there's not really a full clause there. You would expect it to introduce a whole clause, but it's just modifying how it shines, saying almost like saying, how good is that, you know? So how it shines, how it fulgets in sole. So locatival ablative. It's not literally in the sun, but rather in the sunlight. So how it shines in the sun. Imperator simulat qua illum arcum vidit summa imar admiratione affectus est. So the emperor, so nominative subject right there, simulat qua illum arcum vidit. So simulat right there is an adverb. So as soon as, at the same time as, vidit, so perfect tense verb, he saw, illum arcum. Illum is modifying arcum, both are accusatives. That arch. And then we have affectus est is the main verb here. Was moved. So this is that perfect passive tense of verb. It's that compound form of the perfect passive participle plus est. So he was moved, or had been moved. Was moved is a better way to translate it. And then by summa admiratione, by the highest admiration. So ablatives, of instrumental ablatives there, we'll just say. So let's put it all together. The emperor, as soon as he saw that archer, was moved by the utmost admiration. Mihi imperavit ut gratia suas tibi agere. So me is obviously dative, and dative goes with this imperavit. So the impero takes a dative, and it's a perfect tense verb. He ordered me. And then we know that with this ut, it's introducing an indirect command. He ordered me to, and then the verb here is ageren. It's an imperfect subjunctive. First person, singular imperfect subjunctive. So it's literally saying, he ordered me that I might, but or might give. So ago gratia means to give thanks. It's another idiomatic phrase. So, but we will just translate it as, he ordered me to give thanks, his thanks, suas gratia. Suas is modifying it. It's saying that it's the emperor's thanks, tibi, to you. So dative of indirect object dative, or remote object, if you want to say that, or you could construe it as a dative advantage. At this point, it's a bit of an event horizon for the different datives. So putting it all together, he ordered me to give you his thanks. Haterius, magno pere gaudio quod opus meum ab imperatore laudatum est. So magno pere it's just an adverb. It means very much, very greatly. You can see with the magno right there. So and gaudio, so you might know the song Gaudiamus Igitur, and it means I rejoice. So I rejoice very much, greatly. Quod, and quod right here is because. Opus meum. So opus is neuter, right? So it's opus meum, and that's why meum is modifying it. But it's a subject. It's a nominative subject. Opus meum. I know that US is a little confusing for that. But opus meum ab imperatore laudatum est. Because my work, nominative subject of the perfect passive tense compound verb laudatum est, has been praised, or was praised, and then ablative of agent ab imperatore, by the emperor. So let's put that all together. I'm very happy because my work was praised by the emperor. It's probably the best way to put it. Notice that I'm giving a little bit of liberty with how I'm translating Magnum per Gaudio. Sed praemium illud quod tud mii promissisti nonnum accepi. So, but, said, praemium illud, but that reward, so this is this right here is sorry, it's not nominative, it's accusative, but it's neuter, so we can't really tell. But that reward, and then relative clause, notice that quod right here means which, it's not because, that reward which, to, nominative subject to this relative clause, which you promissisti, perfect tense verb, which you promised, and then dative, me, to me, so it's an indirect object or a dative advantage at that point, or really 6 1 half dozen another, which you promised to me. And notice that which is in the accusative because it's the direct object, it's the thing that was promised, right? To is doing the promising, me is indirectly receiving that, and the promise, that thing that was promised, is the quod, referring back to the primum. Nondum, not yet, another adverb. Accepi. So accipio means to accept or receive. So here we're going to translate it as received. That's a perfect tense verb. So let's put it all together. Said, but I have not yet received that gift which you promised me. There we go. And Salvius says, Woke blanda. So woke blanda is again an aside describing his how he's doing it, and it's an ablative phrase with a flattering voice, or with flattering speech. So sometimes you can use it's a phrase called synecdoche, where you use something, a part, to describe the whole. So you're describing speech with voice, or describing a language with tongue. So for example, if you say he has a strange tongue, you don't mean that his tongue is literally weird. You mean that his speech pattern or his language that he's using is unusual. So this is called synecdoche. It's a poetic device. There's another related poetic device called metonymy that's very similar. Going to be very important as we study more poetry. Also, if you're interested, there's a wonderful movie called Synecdoche, New York, which explores this concept philosophically. Very highly suggest that. So Salvius, with a flattering voice, said, and this is the direct speech that is going into, De sacerdotio tuo imperatorem jam saepe consului, et responsum eius etiam nunc expecto. So de right here takes an ablative, and it doesn't mean from here. Usually we have this ablative as, it is an orientational ablative, but it's not an orientation in physical space. It's orientation in terms of ideas or thought, and it's not from, it's concerning or about. So he's leading off saying, about tuo sacerdotio, about your priesthood, about this thing that you want. Like he says, imperatorem jam saepe consolui. So now, jam saepe, often, consolui, I consulted. And who did he consult? The imperatorem. So he's saying, I'm doing this regularly. Even now, often, I consulted the emperor. And expecto, I notice that we've shifted from this perfect tense verb to a present tense verb. I am waiting for, I am looking for, nunc, now, not just nunc, but etiam nunc, even now, I am waiting for, and what is he waiting for? Direct object, responsum, his response. So it's eius is a genitive right there. It's a genitive possessor genitive. So even now, I'm waiting for his response. Let's put it all together. Concerning about your priesthood, even now, about your priesthood, now I have often consulted the emperor, and I am even now waiting for his response. All right. So he doesn't have an answer for him, but he's changing the subject. Aliquid tamen tibi interia offere possum. So main verb right here is possum. It is means I am able. From potior, we get the word power from this, or potential. Possum, I am able, and then prolative infinitive, that complementary infinitive, to offer. Interia, in the meanwhile, so it's an adverb, to you, tibi, dative right there, tamen, however, aliquid, something, so something else. It's like, I don't have this answer for you, but I've got something else that I'm going to offer you. So let's put it together. Interia, so in the meanwhile, I'm able to offer something else to you, however. Okay. Agellum quendam possideo, qui prope sepulchra metallorum et scipionum situs est. So, leading off right here, this is a direct object, agellum, quendam, a certain agellum. So quendam is a certain, quaedam or quendam is it's saying that it's some, or an indefinite sort of thing. It's a certain agellum. Agellum is a little plot of land, a certain plot of land, and then possidio, I possess. And then this is a qui clause right here that's describing that plot of land. Qui So nominative right there. Qui situs est, which is situated, which it's situs est is still a perfect passive tense verb. So est plus situs, perfect passive participle, but it's hard to say has been located or has been situated. So we'll just translate it as which is located, right? Prope, and prope takes accusative. Near the sepulchra, so a sepulcher, it's near the plural tombs, tombs, accusative plural, metallorum et scipionum. So these are two genitive plurals of the Metellii and the Scipioni. So these are two wealthy and well-known Roman families. It means that it's quite a good location, prime real estate for tombs. And we know that that tombs in the ancient world, I think that we meet this at some time, stage 8, stage 7, I don't remember exactly, of Cambridge. We talk about tombs for the first time, and they were made to look like houses, and they were placed outside the city. So on the approach to the city, you'd see these wealthy families' tombs. It was a way of showing off and kind of keeping the dead relevant. And also, if your tomb was on an approach to the city, people could read what was on your tomb and see your picture. So it was a type of immortality. You also have to understand that at this point in history, religion didn't really have that positive of an afterlife. This was something that was coming about with certain mystery religions and Christianity, a new form of the afterlife. So sometimes the sense of immortality that people had was just simply being remembered through time. So we'll kind of explain why this is so important, this tomb, in just a minute. But let's finish off this sentence. Putting it all together, he said, I possess a certain little plot of land which is located near the tombs of the Metellii and the Scipiones. So, next sentence, tune hunc gelum amere velis. Interesting right here. So first thing, to and ne. This is introducing a neutral question. To plus the enclitic ne. To is the subject, nominative. Ne is that introducing question word. Velis. And velis is from volo, and it is a subjunctive. So it's would you, and then appellative infinitive. Would you like to buy hunc this agellum, accusative direct object, little plot of land. Very interesting that we have this here because it is an independent use of the subjunctive. We haven't really seen this. So far, all of the subjunctives that we've seen have been subordinated with ut or cum or something like that. This is an optative subjunctive. So it's expressing a would you like to, it's a wish, right? Because optative means want. Well, it's one of the words meaning to want or in Latin. So, or hope for. So, would you like to buy this little plot of land? Very important little detail there. And then Salvius, this shouldn't be Salvius, this should be Haterius right here. I got that wrong. Haterius, then another side participial phrase, affectus magno gaudio. So having been moved by great joy, instrumental appletives right there, magno gaudio. Ita vero. So ita is one of those words. It's more or less adverbial, but it's also an interjection. It can mean both therefore and sometimes just yes. It's a statement of saying more or less assent and agreement. So the conversation can continue going. Often people who try to speak Latin these days will use ita to say yes. So ita vero is yes, I agree. Ita vero, yes, I agree. In illo agello prope sepulchra gentium nobilissimarum. Ego quoque sepulchrum splendidum meis extruere velem. Figuris operum meorum ornatum. That's a pretty long sentence right there. Lots of little clauses. So Let's try and do it left to right as best as we can. In ilo agelo, locatival ablative, in that little plot of land, or on that little plot of land, propes pulchra gentium nobilissimarum. So near the tombs, so preposition plus the accusative, near the tombs, and then genitives right here of the people, the families, right? The gens, a gens is like a clan, if you can think of it, not clan in the strange way, but as in a group of related families. So near the tombs of the families, nobilissimarum, most noble. So near the tombs of the most noble families. Here's our subject, ego, quoque, adverb, also. And then we've got to jump a little bit forward because we've got our subject, so we need to have our verb, scan through, and we see our main verbs are here, extruere velim. Velim is another present subjunctive verb from volo. I would like, so it is another optative subjunctive, independent use of that subjunctive. I would like, extruere, sorry. Had a little trouble pronouncing those two vowels together. I would like to build. I'd like to build. And then what would he like to build? A sepulchrum splendidum. A splendid or a magnificent tomb. And the dative of advantage, me, for myself, for me. Que, meis, and mine. We say this in English, for me and mine, although it's a little bit old-fashioned, but by meis, that dative right there, with me, it means my family, for me and my family. Lastly, we have right here, right up to this comma, figuris operam meorum ornatum. This is a participial phrase, and it is modifying sepulchrum, ornatum, decorated, having been decorated, and then figuris, instrumental ablative, with sculptures, with little figures, operum meorum, of my own making, right? So of my own making, decorated with figures of my own making. That's a long sentence, kind of a bit difficult, but if you translate left to right, it's not too bad. So let's put it all together. Yes, I agree. In that little plot of land, near the tombs of the most noble families, I also would like to build a marvelous tomb for me and my family, decorated with figures of my own making. Not too bad if you translate it like that. Let's go on to this next little sentence, ita, and you notice here ita is used as therefore, not so much a yes, but therefore nm. The Romans, just like the Greeks, they like to throw in a lot of these little words right here. nm sort of means like indeed. I am translating here ita nm as just therefore, because therefore indeed sounds much too wordy. So therefore, nomen facta qua mea posteris tradere possum. Much shorter sentence. So let's jump to the verb at the very end. Possum, I am able. Therefore, I am able, tradere, prelative infinitive, to hand over, to provide, right? Nomen facta qua mea, so my name and my deeds. And then lastly, this dative posteris, for the advantage of, and assuming it's a dative of advantage, for, or could be just a dative of indirect object, to future generations. So posteris is future generations. Let's put it all together. Therefore, I am able to hand over my name and achievements to later generations. This is part of what I was talking about with Roman tombs. On tombs, you would have something that it's called a res gestae, a list of things that a person did. It was often a little paragraph talking about how great they were. Romans, especially wealthy Romans, were known to be they weren't the most humble. Now, they did believe in a type of humility, but if you did something reasonably, they wanted you to know about it. So if you built an arch of Titus for the emperor, they would write it down. If you had they would write down any of your achievements, any wars that you fought in, things like that, children that you potentially had. These are the sorts of things that people would want to record, the greatest hits of a person's life, and they would be written on a tomb, usually below a sculpture or below a painting of that person, or the sculptures were painted as well, so that people would know who they were and what they did. Matter of fact, we actually do have the portraits, little sculptures of Haterius and his wife. If you look in the book, stage 30, you can find his sculptures because he got what he wanted in terms of this. And clearly he was, his name and deeds were remembered to later generations because we're still talking about them. So let's go to this last little sentence right here. Pro agello tuo igitur sestertium vicens tibi offero. Interesting right here. So pro agello. So for, pro is, it introduces a locatible ablative, but it literally means in front of or before. But it's in the sense of in the place of, right? This for that, quid pro quo, this for that. So for the little plot of land, tuo, your little plot of land, igitur, adverb, therefore, sestertium vicens, and these are both accusatives right here. 2 million sesterces. 2 million sesterces, tibi, dative, to you, offero, I offer. Let's put that all together in reasonable English word order before I sort of explain what this means. So, I offer to you, therefore, 2 million sesterces for your little plot of land. 2 million sesterces is an obscene amount of money. It's an absolutely obscene amount of money. So to put it into context, one of the richest people of the ancient world, his named Crassus, one of the triumvirate members, he supposedly had a fortune that was worth about 200 million sesterces. This is obscenely wealthy because there were social classes in Rome. We talked about at the Arch of Titus, we talked about the senatores, the equites, right? Those were two of the social classes. To be considered part of the senatorial class, you had to have property requirements. You had to own so much property, and that had to be worth at least 1 million sesterces. Now, the next lower rank is the equites, the knights class. You had to have about 400,000 sesterces. This is still a lot of money. You need to understand that this is well more wealthy than the average person. So let's put it into perspective of the average Roman soldier at this time. He earned about, I think there was a standard pay, and it was 900 sesterces per year. So 900 sesterces per year, that's a couple of sesterces per day. And that was pretty good pay back then. So it was a lot of money. 2 million sesterces is, I think, honestly, a almost too inflated number for this. But hey, it's almost, I guess, like New York real estate. So yes, so he offered 2 million sesterces. That's twice the entry requirement for the senatorial class. I think that it's also good to think of these people very much like mafiosos, like mob bosses. Money is not really an option or not really a problem for them because they just got so much of it. Literally, these people could fund their own armies for months, right? If you think that one soldier makes 900 sesterces a year, you can fund a lot of people for a number of months just on your personal wealth. So let's jump back into it. So Salvius ridens quod agellos ei gratis ab imperatori datus erat. So this is a pretty long little side. So he laughing, ridens, present present active participle. And why is he laughing? Quod, because agelos, so because the little plot of land, and then datus erat. So this is another form. So datus erat was given, so had been given to him. This is actually pluperfect passive tense. They're introducing this here as well without really explaining it to him and explaining it to you. Because we just learned in this stage, we learned perfect passive. So perfect passive participle plus the present tense of sum. So that would have been datus sum. So was given to him or has been given to him. But datus, that perfect passive participle, plus the imperfect form sum, is actually pluperfect subjunctive. So not has been given, but had been given. They are sneaking that in there. So see, he's laughing because the plot of land, nominative subject, had been given, and then dative to him, indirect object, ab imperatore, by the emperor, so ablative of agent, and then gratis, freely. So that's ablative manner, so free, in a free way. So let's put that all together. Salvius, laughing because the plot of land had been given to him free by the emperor. And then this is what he says. Agelos molte pluris est, sed quia patron sum tuus tibi haveo. This is just, this right here is so slimy. But you could definitely see a Roman doing it. And this is why I like reading this like they're mob bosses. So agelos, nominative subject, the plot of land, est, so is, pluris. Pluris right here, another nominative. So it's that it's a predicate nominative going on the other side of s. It means worth more. Is worth more. Multo is an ablative of degree of difference. It literally means by much. So if you're literally reading this, it says the plot of land is more by much. But we don't translate it that way. We translate it as the little plot of land is worth a lot more. It's worth a lot more. Said, but, conjunction right there. Quia, so quia, we've got that as a because. Quia patronus sum, because I'm your patron. So patronus sum tuus. So your patron I am. Because I'm your patron, nominatives right there with this present tense verb. Because I'm your patron. Tibi faveo. So present tense verb. I favor. Tibi, dative direct, well, dative object of that. It's probably more a dative of interest with an intransitive verb, but we'll just translate it like a direct object. I favor you. I like you. He's literally saying this little plot of land is worth a lot more, but because I'm your patron, I like you. That's a reasonable way to translate this. Very, very funny. Very, very funny. So, me juat igitur sestertium tantum triciens ate accipere. This is also funny right here. So, juat me, therefore, so igitur, it pleases me. Juat me, it's a direct object plus this verb, it pleases me. Therefore, adverb, sestertium tantum triciens ate, so to accept, accipere, so this is a superlative infinitive to with juat. It pleases me therefore to receive or to accept triciens, sestertium tantum. That is only, tantum is translated as only here, 3 million sesterces. He upped it by a full million sesterces, whatever. Ate, from you, ablative separation. What a shady fellow. So let's put it all together. It pleases me, therefore, to receive only 3 million sesterces from you. Placet ne tibi. So neutral question with that ne, impersonal construction, placet. Is it pleasing to you? Tibi is dative. So do you like this? And Haterius ends by saying, mi valde placet. So it is very, valde is an adverb, pleasing me, to me, date of interest. So it pleases me very much. And then this last little bit right here is giving you a sense of what's going on. So haterius fabris imperavit ut tignum lente dimitrent, ambo humum redierunt alter spe immortalitatis delectatus alter praesenti pecunia contentus. So haterius ordered imperavit, perfect tense verb, the fabris, dative more or less objective imperat, ordered the workers, indirect statement, ut, to dimitre, to let down, direct object, tignum, the beam, lente, so it's an adverb, slowly, ambo, that's the nominative subject, both guys, redierunt, returned, humum, so to the ground. We'll have to translate that as to the ground, but humum, humus is earth, right? Actually, get the word human from that, because in the ancient world view, humans were made out of dirt. They grew out of the ground. So that's something called autochthony, or many lower class humans grew out of the ground. Higher class humans were formed and forged by gods. So there's a difference between describing someone as simply a vir, a nobleman, and a homo from the humus. So alter spe immortalis delectatus. So alter, we know that if we have two alters, it's one and the other. So one, delectatus, so perfect past participle modifying alter, being a nominative subject. One, delighted, and then what is he delighted by? Spe immortalitatis. Spe is a instrumental ablative, by the hope, and then genitive, immortalitatis, so it's by the hope of immortality. Alter, the other, contentus, so satisfied, another perfect passive participle modifying the second alter, satisfied, and then pecuniae praesenti, so these are both ablatives, and it's with ready money, so with at hand money, since it's like saying that he's getting easy money from it. He's getting something for nothing. 3 million sesterces for nothing, actually. And those are instrumental ablatives. So putting it all together, haterius ordered the workers to slowly let down the beam. Both men returned to the ground, one delighted by the hope of immortality, and the other satisfied with ready money, or by ready money. All right, guys, so that is the final translation from stage 30. Just making good time through stage 30. We've only got a couple more stages towards the end of this book. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I will see you later.